This is your radio, Cayman.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Another terrific Tuesday's edition of Talk Today, as we always endeavor to smile and to live, love, laugh, and to learn. And today, as we facilitate, honored to have the Honorable Speaker of the House share with us as our MP for West Bay Central and the Constituent Council. We get a chance to talk, invite you to be a part of all the good things that's happening. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks very much to the Honourable Speaker of the House, as MP for West Bay Central, Ms. Catherine Ebanks-Wills. Good afternoon, Ma'am. Good to see you again.
Good afternoon, sir. Good to be here. Thank you for having us.
I would say you probably would agree that the only thing better would be if we were out fishing and not fishing, right?
Sailing.
Or even better.
We could trolling.
Yeah, got a hand light out in the back there of that catboat looking for a good tight hand. I see. Gotta enjoy it, it's the summertime. But thanks, not just for the laughter and the banter, but for the willingness for us as a people to appreciate the importance of participating in our democracy, for coming alongside. And I see where, in the constituency, we have the district council, up and running. So through you, we want to learn about the exciting things. So to you, Ma'am. I see you have two your stalwarts with us.
Yes, thank you, Dwayne, for having us on this afternoon. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the chairman of the West Bay Central Interim Constituency Council, Mr. Clint Hunter, and the deputy chair, Ms. Charlene Rogers, who are both joining me this afternoon to provide some updates to the public on where the Constituency Council is at right now.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and to the listening audience, a pleasant good afternoon to you.
Also, good afternoon, and it's a pleasure being here.
Ms. Catherine, we've seen our Constitution, we've seen the provisions for it, we've seen the amendments, and there's been much discussion across the entire country about the importance of I think they refer to advisory district councils and the like. You decided to go here with it. Your impetus, the inspiration, share with us so we get a perspective.
Yes, Dwayne. While I was on the campaign trail, it was one of the topics that was heavily discussed by a lot of the constituents and a lot of residents on the island. A lot of people really feel that the district councils need to be established. So I actually went ahead and put it in my campaign, in my manifesto, that it was something that I would commit to doing. And so just, trying to ensure that I deliver on what I committed that I would do. I started call it a public consultation, a few meetings within the constituency to get the feedback from constituents on what their thoughts were, how they thought that the council should be comprised. And that's really how it came about.
You know, sometimes we pick up on words. You know, you're watching a movie, you're reading a book, and maybe it's a word that you know, and you go, what's the connotation? Or it's not one you know, so you go to your dictionary. I still have a hard copy of a dictionary. But you use interim. In government, we talk about acting, boy, and we should get Oscars, but interim. Tell us about that. I hope I'm not, getting into semantics, but interim?
No, it's a good question. Well, the reason why I refer to it as interim is because the intent that I have, or that I had for the establishment of the council, was to follow what was originally laid out in the District Advisories Act, which we know now is in need of some amendments to reflect the single-member constituencies. And because we don't have that as a guide to follow or to kind of govern the council, I see it as an interim body until we get to that point where it is under legislative framework. But that doesn't prevent the constituency council for West Bay Central from, following the Advisory Act and getting things established, so that when we get to that point, it will move from being interim, because we've already gotten a lot of things. And when I say we, that it would be the council now, has all the things established to move forward.
Well, as the MP, we really appreciate taking this time not just to share with us, but to give us her perspective. And to our listeners, we will get the chair and the deputy, involved in a conversation. But it's helpful to maybe understand the framework, the motivations. If I might then ask, I believe our constitution had one clause that there shall be advisory district councils. That was about it. Then we passed the supporting legislation to flesh it out. I guess for my edification, that was under a system where we had in West Bay, 4 people who were elected. The voters could vote. Now we have the country chopped up into 19 little bits and pieces, and probably
that's right.
More depending on what happens. If people don't like my phraseology, well, they'll take me to task later on. But that's what it is. So in that sense, the West Bay Central would have a district council. The West Bay other 3 bits would have their own, as opposed to what may have been the intent. West Bay proper having one.
Right.
So therefore the interim. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But again, to not reinvent the wheel,
yes,
we're trying to, and that's the reason why I'm saying interim, because we're
yes,
trying to follow the guidelines that have already been put in place by the Act, so that whatever the resolution will be for, I'm hoping they'll still call it the Advisory Act, but now it's going to have to reflect the way in which the constituencies are made up. Will that mean that every constituency will have a subcommittee, and then the West Bay District will, that's debatable,
yes,
right?
ma'am.
We'll have to see what the public want. But in the interim, we don't want to stop this bit of participation from taking place.
Let that hold us back, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll even be political, ma'am, given your protection, and say maybe we'll come to our senses and have a national vote and be done with this divided up country.
Well, I'm there with you.
See, with Madam Speaker's protection, we'll sanction these chambers.
And we prefer to also be proactive.
Yes, ma'am.
And we prefer to also be proactive.
Okay. And this is it. So if I might then ask maybe 2 other questions as we continue understanding better. West Bay Central has this interim council. Are there others operational in the other 18 little bits and pieces that we have?
I can't speak for the other constituency councils. I know that some of the MPs have like advisory bodies. I really just wanted to try to follow the way in which the Act has it set out in terms of nomination and it has election. We've done a selection, again, because it's interim, and this is where now this body will determine the way in which members will be elected moving forward.
Okay. And thank you for that, because some of us may not be familiar with even the Constitution or the so this is just yes, ma'am.
Finish your question.
No,
sorry.
I was going to ask you because you did reference it, but expound on that selection, nomination.
Right. So what I'm priding myself in or on is that this council has not been selected by me. Every person that is in this this committee has been nominated from persons within the community. There was a nomination process. So this isn't a political appointment, or this council isn't politically affiliated with me as an MP. These are individuals that have been seen by their neighbors as persons that they feel comfortable that will be able to advocate, on their behalf back to the MP on the concerns that they have as a collective.
Right. And now we have the chair and the deputy with us. We certainly will get to them, respecting Charlene and Mr. Klein. But would you be able and willing to share with the public, maybe the other members and the like? Okay.
What I will do is, I know I introduced both the chair and the deputy chair, but in terms of listing out the members and their positions, I'd like to go ahead and ask the deputy chair, Charlene, if she could go ahead and give that information to you.
Thank you, Honorable MP. West Bay Central District Council consists of 10 members, inclusive of the chairman and myself. And I will take this opportunity to introduce to you them by their names and, of course, designated important positions. So we have Alyssa Ebanks, Charlie Brown, Dwayne Maxwell, Glenda Ebanks Lee, which is our treasurer, Jehu Rivers, Roberta Powry, member, Sophia Bryan, which is our secretary, and Shamar Harding.
Mr. Chair, you have a good committee, sir.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And I think that this took place maybe for, public disclosure. This is within the constituency that I fall in, which I vote as well. And I think all of us were advised, this is coming up, this is the process, you want to be a part of it, this is when the meeting would be, and the like. So as much as possible, I commend you for giving us an opportunity to be aware of what's happening. It wasn't just a select group that you handpicked.
Thank you.
And I see my nominations when I took the floor. So it was open to all of our voters and the like. Maybe after we come back from our break, can we talk more about it, share some of the workings and other information? Would that be fine?
Yes.
Please join us. It's a democracy at work, and it's wonderful to be a part of a society that values its importance of the citizens, especially as voters, being able to participate. So join us after the break.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. Wow. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Grand Cayman, get ready as Roma United Sports Club, Jake and Money, and Kingston 62 present the official Jamaica Independence Celebration. Friday, August 4 at the Lion Center, featuring live from Jamaica, Tess and Chin, alongside the 5th Division Band. Also, Leroy Evans, Terry Williams, and K-Man's Best Dancers. Lots of prizes and giveaways. Kids Talent Contest, Best Dress Competition, and much more. Health Fair from 5 to 9 p.m. Get your PSA, diabetes, and blood pressure check for free. It's Jamaica Independence Celebration, Friday, August 4 at the Lion Center. Sponsored by Best Dressed Chicken, Popeyes, Digicel, Royal Medical, Kmart, Cost You Less, Radio K-Man, Breeze FM, Cayman Airways, iCool Air Conditioning, and Cayman Hair and Beauty Supply.
Tired of the same old look? Well, step into Meldy's Fashion and amp up your old wardrobe. You are bound to find something to put some pep in your step. Meldy's has the best in quality brand name women's and men's clothing, all at affordable prices. Shoes for men and women, handbags and accessories. Are you a plus size? Then come and see what we have for you. Layaway plans and gift certificates are also available. Meldy's Fashion, located at 216 Shetton Road, upstairs Central Plaza, Unit number 6. Telephone 936-4382. Follow us on Instagram, Meldy's_fashion.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back, and it's a pleasure to be able to see our democracy at work. And as we get a chance to talk about the West Bay Central constituency council, we have the MP who also happens to be a wonderful speaker, Ms. Kathleen Ebanks Wilkes. So thanks very much. I mean, we can celebrate, right? And thanks to Mom for bringing on the chair and the deputy chair, Mr. Clint Hunter and Ms. Charlene Rogers, as part of our discussion as we understand the workings and the impetus and maybe some of the planned activities.
Right. Well, as I said earlier, the Constituency Council really isn't something that me as the MP has any involvement with. It's a body separate from me as the MP. So in terms of what they've been working on as a council since they've been established, I think this is the point where I'll turn it over to the chair and ask him to give you an update and the public on what you all have been working on.
Once again, Kathy, thank you, and Dwayne, thank you for having us, and both me and the chair, the deputy chair. We have been very active in our short time. We've had 2 meetings as a council, as a body, and in that short time, we've also been able to establish all of our constitutional documents, and those are quite important for the viability of the council. And those documents consist of our code of conduct, our vision statement, our mission statement, and our oath of conduct. And we've all had all members sign them and agree to the terms and conditions in those documents. And they've been also countersigned by both the chair, the deputy chair, and myself. We've also had, by generous contribution by the MP, MP Wilkes, she's handing over an app that she originally developed for her personal constituency, as far as from her level, but she thought it was more prudent and more vital to the community by handing it over to the council, and we have then taken that on, and it's now going to be managed, all the functions. She's handed over all rights to it, and with that being said, the app is basically there to help as an engagement tool on behalf of the council. And we've also had the formation of a subcommittee within our council, and that was voted on and decided on in our last meeting. And we have 2 members, Miss Alyssa Ebanks and Mr. Jehu Rivers. They are basically considered the youth elements of our council, and they have both been assigned to the task of content generation for the app and development, and also finding revenue streams that the app can actually be of value versus not just in putting information out there, but actually giving revenues into the council to afford us to do community initiatives, such as outreaches. There's areas that we can find that we can offer assistance with, social programs, etc. And that's basically one of the other functions. And then with that, also we've also decided as a group that we need to have a formal logo / crest for the council. And what better way to have that formed and be inclusive than bringing it to the public to do. And we're going to be introducing that as a competition. Basically a competition element that will have the public engage with us by providing us with content and generation design wise for the app, for the logo, and that will be then used going forward on all printage, all signage, etc. And basically the brand of the council going forward. So we thought that would be the best use of engagement with added engagement with the council, with the community.
With respect to the app, I commend you for that. He's quite pro for given today's environment. Is it rolled out yet? How accessible is it to the wider constituency?
It has not been rolled out yet. We're in the process of having that completed with the developer and so forth. But I will then ask my deputy to kind of go into that element of when the app will be rolled out. She is more versed in that, and she is able to answer that question.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, just before Dwayne getting to your question,
yes, ma'am.
I guess I would take this opportunity to just go right into West Bay District Council planned events, beginning with our meet and greet. Our meet and greet is scheduled for Saturday, August the 12th, 2023. It will provide an opportunity to officially introduce the committee to the constituency of West Bay Central Council, and hopefully to schedule our initial interviews with each constituent. And West Bay council members will be easily identified as we will be in uniformed shirts provided by our Honorable MP, Catherine Wilkes, with our West Bay Central District Council logo. We, the council, do anticipate, back to your question, we, the council, do anticipate the launch of our app at least by the end of September of 2023. And we are also planning to have a general constituency public meeting in the month of October, where we hope to include the constituency's engagement in the decision of our app's logo.
Awesome. This is where I think that level of participation, even if it's just on a smaller scale, can extend, Mr. Chair, to the wider community and sense of ownership. So as I listen to you, I'm mindful of how we can, agree. Now, the Honourable MP did share that this is separate and distinct from, her as MP. But to what extent the council's sort of ruminations and decisions and plans and things that you want done, what is that interaction, if any, between the council and the MP, and then,
Okay, well, keeping on that independent body vibe, and we, the council, have all agreed to the resolution that any decisions, any information provided by the general public will be put forward in a formal documentation to the MP for her then to disperse amongst the government and see if they can have any, see if there will be, if those decisions, recommendations, and so forth can be actioned, and what can't be actioned, they will also come back with us with the resolution, so we can inform the public that is either not a viable source at that time, or what is actioned, and then we can go and announce exciting news and get on with the business of the council, which is to provide information and get things done on a constituency basis, direct constituency basis, and kind of alleviating the middle between the MPs and so forth.
Well, we are speaking with the Honourable MP, Ms. Kathleen Ebanks-Wilkes, as the MP for West Bay Central, and the Chairman for the Constituent Council, Clint Hunter, and the Deputy Chair, Ms. Charlene Rogers. If I might ask through you, Mr. Chair, the interaction with the MP and the Council, but then the wider constituency and the constituent members, how do we engage with the Council? And when you do have your meetings, presumably you'll have your meetings at the council, then you'll have, as Ms. Charlene said, the wider community meetings. So
yes, we plan to meet quarterly, and we also plan to have, that's amongst ourselves, and we also plan to have equal meetings with the public, consultations with the public. Thus far, like when we did our nominations period, Brother Gary at the church in West Bay, we've used their hall, and they were generous enough to let us use their hall, and we're presuming that courtesy will be extended going forward also, because you know, this is something that we want to not meet in a closed setting, something that's for the public to have all viewpoints established and so forth, and then we can also have one-on-one private discussions with constituents on sensitive matters, because you know, those things do arise, and those you know, so yes, we do plan to have both sets of private council meeting with the members and public, and we all will be on the ground individually, hence why we're doing the meet and greets, and we have a few of those planned. The first one the deputy has announced for August 12th, but that won't be the only. We will be going, and we can't cover the entire constituency in one meet and greet, so we will have more meet and greets. We will announce those on social media channels, etc. going forward. Once the app is fully up and running, that is also a tool that we're using as a community calendar to let everyone know when the council will be active at certain points of time, etc. And then, like I said, generation of revenues and so forth. So the app is going to be very important. We're glad that the MP has decided to hand that over to us, and I think that was a very wise decision, and it will be a very important tool for us to keep engaged, because you know, everyone is on social media and mobile, and you know, it's on the go. We live in a very fast-paced, on-the-go environment.
Indeed. All right, well, let's quickly take our final break of this segment. When we come back, we can learn more. You can invite you to share more and see where it takes us. Please join us after the break.
Hey, is your phone slow, overheating, and dropping important calls? Don't fret. This summer, it's time to flip out with Digicel. Introducing the all-new Samsung Flip 4 with its sleek design and cutting-edge features. You'll flip into the summer in style and confidence. This summer, you can grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4, all just for $145. Flip into the summer with Digicel. Visit a Digicel store near you and grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4 and the amazing 7-day Prime Ultra plan today.
Hello, Cayman. If you have been chosen for the STEPS National Health Survey, thank you so much. But we still need your help. 1,000 more people need to participate in Step 3, the final step of the survey, to ensure that our data reflects the whole population of Cayman. We cannot do this without you. Help us shape Cayman's healthcare services. Say yes to Step 3. For more information, contact the STEPS team on 936-4969 or email mhwsteps@gov.ky.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt at valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And always honored to engage, because I think, as much as we might shy away from it, we all like politics in some form, and this is not politics in any way other than civic engagement. So to the Honourable MP, Ms. Kathleen Ebanks, I thank you as the MP for West Bay Central coming on, bringing your chair and a deputy for the constituency council. As Ms. Charlene was saying just now, I'm thinking if you were to say West Bay Council, West Bay Central Constituent Council, try to say that fast. I wonder where you end up with. But this is us at play, having a say in what happens within our own little space. And thanks very much. And it's not politics in the way than civic engagement. Well, we can't shy away from it, right? May I then ask and say that we know that for West Bay proper, there are 4 MPs, one for each distinct, chopped up area. And as opposed to the collective.
Got that right. They chopped them up.
They chopped them up. Well, I say it with your protection, ma'am. Might me in the Hollywood sanctuary, but I have the other people who live in the other electoral sort of areas. Are they invited to come? Can they make presentation, representation, participation? I'm being mindful. Don't want to encroach, but I live here and this is my MP, but you live next door to me and the line has been drawn in between us.
As MP, I can't answer that question. That's something that would have to be decided by the council. But my personal feeling on all the different chopped up areas, as you say, is you get down to having questions like this being asked. And I don't like the segregation or division that it poses, but I also understand the importance of also keeping things separate. So that's something that I will hand over to the chair. I don't know if he'll want to answer that now, or if that's something he'll revert back to the...
I'm not asking for an answer, I'm just looking at the thing. So thank you very much for that, Mom.
Well, what I can say is, in keeping the democratic response, the democratic response, I would say I would go back to the council and revert back in hopefully a future invitation to come on and share more about the council and so forth. I also do have my own personal beliefs, but my personal beliefs are not in any way to be infringed on the council and what we produce and what we're here to do. So
but I deliberately shared that because... Sorry, Mom.
I just want to chime in as well and say that I know that there are other members who are planning to roll out something similar. I've had a few discussions with some of my colleagues. So I know that it's
Yeah.
happening. So there will be hopefully similar avenues or organizations,
Or
committees.
even for joint collaboration.
Joint collaboration,
Yeah.
for sure. I would hope that
Yeah,
that would
so-
definitely take place.
And to that would also kind of help probably alleviate that whole thing of garrison politics
Right.
and garrison things, whereas
Yes.
of the councils as a whole can meet,
Yeah.
we can also meet on a annual basis or biannual basis, whatever, and form agreed
Right.
best practices and best initiatives for the community.
Indeed.
So I think
Share
that I welcome
viewpoints.
that opportunity to engage with other councils if and when they are established.
And there is certainly an overlap in every district, right? Because you like take West Bay Central for an example. On one side you have West Bay Central, the other side you have West Bay North. On one side you have West Bay Central, the other side you have West Bay South. On one side you have West Bay Central, the other side you have West Bay West.
Yeah.
So again, we are all connected because we all share the same concerns. We all live in the same district.
And you may have a family member who's on one side of the line and another who isn't.
Absolutely.
And I
One who
appreciate
can
you.
vote for you, and one who can't.
Yeah, allow me to share. And if we look at the examples of MP J. Banks and MP Isaac Rankin for Northside and East End, their collaborative, endeavors in the past with the fish tournament and the like. But I also appreciate it, as I think MP you shared earlier. It's about what happens if and when the legislation is amended. What happens with the new electoral boundaries report? What happens? But in the interim, we all living in, West Bay in this instance. It touches and concerns all of our lives.
And if you just take a look at the process for the Electoral Boundary Commission, they held public consultations. So with having bodies established such as these, this is where then I think from what I'm understanding, they didn't really get a huge outpour of feedback or attendance. So again, if these bodies are established and functioning properly, then going back to engagement, a lot of our decisions are based on public consultation, whether it's legislation or even decisions made in caucus or cabinet. We always come back to thinking about, well, how do the people feel? What do the people want? What are they doing? What are their thoughts? And this is where now you have a working document or a working body that can say, well, the MP can have a report back from their council to say, well, these are the things that they found have been working. So the Council for West Bay Central suggests that these things remain in the Act. However, these are the suggestions that have come because it's been, a work in progress and so forth.
And by these are decisions or suggestions that have been given by our meet and greets, our direct one-on-one direct conversation with constituents, because even though as members we meet as a body, but we are not siloed. So we also engage with members of the community on a daily basis.
Exactly.
So we basically, and I've also encouraged all of our members to remember that every day is an opportunity to engage, if possible. So and bring those feedbacks into the fold, and we can go from there.
I think this highlights the. Sorry, Michelle.
And as our honorable MP just said, there may be times or something that she doesn't agree with. And it just took me back to an old saying, if it works, why fix it? Quote.
Well, I'm very appreciative, and it just makes us much more cognizant of participating in our democracy, of being, willing. And I thank each of you for offering yourselves, for those who nominated, and perhaps increasingly the importance of working together. I think that you shared. We don't operate in silos. It doesn't matter if you're in this part of the Cayman Islands, you're on Grand Cayman, but how does that impact Little Cayman? We're all hopefully willing to work for the betterment of our country.
Totally agree.
If I may then ask two things. You referenced the first meet and greet on the 12th of August. So I want to, when you're ready to expound on it further and announce the time, the place, let us know how we can do that. Have you determined yet exactly where it'll be and the like?
Sure will do.
Okay.
It will be definitely when we have a better idea of finalization of dates and venue, we will be more than happy to share with you.
And then is it that the election or the nomination process, I use your term of office for the next, calendar year, the next 12 months, or is it until the next election?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, tenure of membership was something just discussed in our very last meeting, which took place just a few days ago. And within voting of the committee, the chair, and myself, we've decided that it would be best for the tenure of membership to be at least 2 years.
Yeah, we basically carrying on to the next throughout the next election cycle, basically, and so forth. And just going back to when you were mentioning about our meet and greet, what we will be doing is, because this is not a meet and greet, there's a singular stationary meet and greet, we will be going out directly to the community. So you might hear a knock on your door, and you will see us at your door, and so forth.
And this is
I like swanky. It will be hot. It will be up and down. But I like swanky. But anyway,
just put it out there, right?
Yeah, just put it out there. Just you don't put anything out there. You never.
I'm going to warn you, because everybody's going to want to feed you.
Yeah. So I don't know about that part, but anyway. But yeah. So we will be actually coming out and doing a meet and greet where we're on the ground, and we will be starting off from the constituency office as a meeting point, and we'll be taking a shuttle, and we'll be actually going out to pre-selected areas. So when she was saying, when the deputy was alluding locations, we don't have locations as yet, but we will be going throughout and taking our time, and whatever we don't accomplish on that trip, if we have to make a alternate date to go and finish the job, we will, and all members have committed to do so. Right. So that's kind of what we have planned.
In addition to what Chair has just said, I anticipate that we will be doing meet and greet for a period of time, in view of, as of August 12th, maybe right through till December.
Yeah.
Because we do definitely want to touch base with each and everyone in the constituency, and give them an opportunity to voice their concerns or any other relevant issues they may have.
Well, congratulations to both you and all the other members. Thanks for be willing to step up and serve. I commend Honorable MP for putting this together and helping to facilitate. I recognize the clock is a ticking one. Any closing thoughts you may want to leave with our listeners and your constituents in particular?
I would like to first thank the members who have all agreed to take this position as a member of the West Bay Central Constituency Council. I think that it is certainly a role that will keep them all busy, and especially those who have taken on positions such as the chair, deputy chair, secretary, treasurer. All of these individuals have their own personal lives, and they work. This is something that they are doing because it is important to them. You all feel like it's a civic duty.
It's a civic duty.
Right? And it's all about, my little go-to word is people power. It's your way of ensuring that things within your community are being addressed. So I first want to just say how grateful I am that this council has been established. And I was actually thinking about what closing remarks I would leave today. And I just go back and paint a little picture to when we all first took office. We were in the middle of COVID, and many days we'd be sitting around the table, having discussions, and literally saying like, well, I wonder how people would feel about this, or you're trying to navigate through making decisions while thinking about what the people of the country would be responsive to. And a lot of times the important thing was trying to get the message out on what we were trying to accomplish and when and how, and everything is moving so quickly that I often think that having a district council at that time would have made life so much easier. Because again, you are then able as an MP to liaise with your council members and say, can you please get some feedback within the constituency on, how people are feeling. And it's not going to be the only instance when that's going to be required. Mm-hmm. There's going to be times where there's going to be controversial legislation that's in draft form. And again, there are going to be many residents that are going to probably be supportive of it or against it, and this is where the council now comes as a body to the MP and says, listen, you might have your personal views, but this is how your constituency feels. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm excited and happy that it is established, and I'm looking forward to all the things that will take place between now and the end of the year. It sounds like you guys have lots planned.
Yeah. Busy schedule.
Yes,
well,
we do.
Thanks very much, and certainly to you as MP and by extension to all your colleagues. We always provide this platform, and to the council to come on in the future, in person or by phone. Send us if we can help promote, support any which way. So thanks both.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for also that avenue of further engagement with the community at large. Mm-hmm. So we will keep you abreast of any actions and any new things on the horizon for the council.
Most welcome. Well, with
Thank
that,
you, Dwayne.
Always a pleasure, Shani. We'll pause, and then when we come back, it'll be some open lines. So please join us.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Water Authority Cayman informs customers that the public water service will be temporarily interrupted on Rex Crichton Boulevard from the intersections of Chime Street to Spots Breeze Street on Friday, August 4th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. In international news, the family of a black woman whose cervical cells were harvested in 1951 without her knowledge and replicated infinitely ever since have reached a settlement with a biotech company. Henrietta Lax's cells enabled huge advances in medical science, and the cell line is still being used in research institutes worldwide, but they were taken without consent. Ms. Lax's family never received any compensation and have fought for years to get justice for the stolen cells. The details of the settlement reached on Monday with Massachusetts-based Thermo Fisher Scientific Incorporated have not been made public. Canada will be the first nation to start printing warnings directly onto individual cigarettes in a bid to deter young people from starting smoking and encourage others to quit. The warnings, which will be in English and French, will include phrases like cigarettes cause cancer and poison in every puff. The new regulations go into effect on Tuesday. Starting next year, Canadians will begin to see the new warning labels. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
I am Heather Bodden, MP for Savannah and a lifelong advocate for the environment. Illegal dumping is a crime, so please take civic pride in our home and put litter where it belongs. If you see someone littering, report it to the Department of Environmental Health on 949-6696.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Sometime before 1837, a Mr. William Ryan, a restless traveler from Dublin who had worked in New York, jumped ship in Colombia. He would then go to Jamaica, where he trekked by foot from Kingston to Montego Bay, and somehow found his way to Cayman Brac, where he married the lone daughter of Stephen Foster and Elizabeth Christian, a Miss Sarah Christian. The two had 4 sons and then moved to Roatan, Honduras. Following Ryan's passing, Sarah Ryan went to Belize and then moved her sons back to Cayman Brac and brought with her an impoverished carpenter named William Kirkconnell. The two would later bear a son named Watler Kirkconnell, who went on to establish one of the most prominent Bracker families. Information from this historical vignette was sourced from Founded Upon the Seas, A History of the Cayman Islands and Their People by Michael Creighton and the New History Committee.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advance notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise Him, praise Him. Come on, let's praise the Lord. Come on, let's praise the Lord. Praise Him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise time in the morning.
Praise Him, praise Him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my faith in your hand. Rock my soul in the blues of my faith in your hand.
Praise time.
I know He cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise Him, praise Him, praise Him.
Praise time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back, and you can have some open line until 1:30. Good friends from HSA will join us, and well, what's on your mind? I know you're thinking, geez, is it still July or has August started? And then you wonder, well, what does that mean? Well, let's start with the premise. It's the second, day of the week. If you say Monday is the first, and what does that mean? Well, very little, other than time does not stand still. No matter how much money you have, you will not buy another second, and you can't, determine your eternity, where you'll be forever and ever by your wealth. Some may try, some may think. Let's talk, let's share, let's listen, let's learn. Let's certainly show some love, and if we can even laugh, so much the better. Someone asked me, well, why do you talk about chocolate? Why do you share it? The fellowship, the breaking of bread. And sometimes you can use it as a metaphor. You can use it even as an allegory and the like. But the idea of coming together of a people, the Honourable MP for West Bay Central and her chair and deputy for the district council, share with us. And here's a way for a community, and in this instance a political constituency, to engage in this democracy, to share what may be of importance and concern to the community, and hopefully, as the Honourable MP shared, invite people to participate, to be able to get their views direct to the elected representative for some semblance of action. It may be major concerns, but as the Honourable MP also relayed, it's about participation, it's about democracy, it's about being able to, by extension, have a greater voice and access to and through the community as to what is happening. But she also shared, as I have publicly, long before there was the campaign for the one man, one vote, or one person, one vote. Remember that group of people? I believe long before that, as I believe to this day, that a national vote of sort, any change in the way we elect the people, is one that shouldn't be taken lightly, one that should be considered, but one that brings more participation, a greater semblance of democracy. Many people would say, well, if you have every single voter with the same amount of votes, so one voter with one vote, that would be fair, would be equal. But is it? There were those who say on a weighted average, and only as an example, if a constituency, let's say East End on our side, has 500 registered voters, and another constituency has 1,000, that voter in the constituency with 500 to one representative has twice the weight of the one that has one voter for, of 1,000 for that one representative, right? But when we change, are we changing to make it easier and more political expedient for the parliamentarian? We had former MPs, as they were called then, MLAs, who shared very publicly, as they sat to my left, that as the elected member, they very much would have liked the notion of having a smaller constituency, less voters, because it's more manageable. As a voter, they liked the idea of being able to access 4 or 6, depending on the constituency or the electoral district at the time. We have the Electoral Boundaries Commission's report. We see the proposed changes. Now what happens? Well, we'll see. But to what Ms. Cathy shared earlier, to what extent are we, as the voters in particular, going to engage ourselves, get involved, become informed, and figure out, well, what does this mean for our democracy, our participation? How does that impact, the way things are? The notion of speaking to that may be political. It's not political from the perspective, as I shared, of any ulterior motive, any intent other than to invite a conversation and you may have a very, very reasoned, rational, very, very considered perspective. It may be such that you can make, a very, very impassioned plea that is convincing. It may cause others to buy into what you're sharing. It may cause them to say, nope, I still believe what I believe. But without discussion, healthy, responsible, respectful discussion, how are we going to be able to move things in a positive direction? For me, it has been for as long as I can remember. I can't tell you that the terminology or the way I describe it is the best, but certainly invite you to share with me. I thought that as a country, it would be better to avoid anything, to use the word that we've used often, and the chair, Mr. Hunter, earlier used it, the garrison politics. To avoid that, would it be better to have more engaged say in the people that we elect? Do we do it on a national level where we elect all of the people? Is it just for the premier? Is it just for the premier and the cabinet? To what extent? The Electoral Boundaries Commission chair, Dr. Hanley, did share that perhaps we could consider a carve-out in the Constitution similar to what we did for Camelback and Little Cayman, where we have a defined number of representatives, maybe each of the traditional electoral sort of constituencies, the West Bay, the Georgetown, the Bordentown, North Side, and the East End, that we have at least one, or maybe there'll be two, members that are guaranteed for each of those districts, just like we have for the carve-out for Camelback and Little Cayman. There is a provision for 19, 2 of which have to be for Camelback and Little Cayman, and then the other 17 will then be on Grand Cayman. Well, if we pick up Dr. Hanley's sentiments, maybe it'll be that, for instance, it'll be 1 for each one, or it'll be 2 for each one, whatever the case may be. Again, how much participation, how much engagement, how much of the endeavor on our part to respond, to share our perspective. Now, that is just one of the things that is happening that is going to impact our lives as we go into, the rest of the year, not just for the election. The question as to whether the election will be April 2025 as expected, or will it be February or March, or will it be in 2024? And that's a decision and discussion that may or may not be had. It may or may not even be important. But hopefully there'll be, as it always has been, a free and fair election. Are we going to participate? The other issue that may not necessarily be getting a play, or we understand for some, and I've been told by someone else who is presumably much, in my mind, better informed, that is already a provision. Like many, I understand, or was made to understand, that if you are to be eligible for to be a candidate and stand in the general election, you need to have at least that grandparent who was born in the country. That either is not the case or has been changed. Is that important? Is that necessary in today's world? Or we hear from many that there is growing speculation that there will be a change to allow British nationals who are resident here to not only be able to vote but to be candidates. Is that important? And if it is, why only the British nationals, and why not Jamaicans and the Filipinos and Hondurans and Canadians and Americans and everybody else? Do we still need to have some sort of connection to the country? Maybe not. Well, what is your thought? What are you hearing? Well, are you willing to share with me? 949-8037, 949-6990. Or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. You can even call that 925-3261. One of our listeners has message, and I'll read as it's sent. This person writes, wondering what is the excuse for the other districts to form a district council. Again, as written by this listener, simply wondering what is the excuse for the other districts to form a district council. Well, what do you think it is? 949-8037, 949-6990. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925, 3261. You can call it 925-3261. It is our WhatsApp number, and be a part of it. Now it is, sort of the midst of summer, and many of us are either actively looking forward to travel. Some of us are very busy trying to get through all the summer plans, so that as the children return to school, that everything will be in play. Some are doing the best they can just to stay above water. But it doesn't mean that things are not happening to us, in and around us, that impact us. And the question is, to what extent are we not only coping, but are responding in a way that we feel that we're in the driver's seat? Or is it, as some say, it's going to happen, it's a fait accompli, and they just let it happen? They don't try to influence it. They don't even bother to, worry about the impact. They just let it be. That works for some, it doesn't for others. But from the Cayman context, are we cognizant of maybe what is happening? If our elected government is diligent and determined and competent and committed that they are, when we have the budget cycle and the budget process, and they're trying to figure out how to find funds, and when they do, how to allocate those funds, do we concern ourselves? Even when that discussion is had publicly in the House of Parliament, in this Finance Committee, and we're hearing the discussions, do we involve ourselves? Are we, just taking it as part and parcel of what transpires? I'll share with you that a few individuals, some of whom are closer to the political wheel than others, have said, if you ever listen to the debate and the discussion, even just in Finance Committee, the amount of time that is spent with how questions are asked and answered, the way the presentations are made, is that archaic? Now, I may not be the best person to ask, because sometimes we look for efficiencies. We've tried to find ways without dehumanizing interactions. How do we get away from some of the things? And the best word would be, as this person used it, the archaic terminology, the archaic processes. Not that we shouldn't follow protocol, not that we shouldn't have a formalized system that is properly vetted, one that can be audited and provides a sense of transparency and accountability. But is it possible for people to engage without having to, look at antiquated practices? Let me ask you a question, you give me an answer. And maybe the next time the Finance Committee is in session, maybe you listen. Maybe you'll agree with what that person shared. Maybe you like the way it unfolds. But he shared that to ask, even to that, he said, to what extent are people actually cognizant of what is happening in our country? How is the government going to pay for the operation of government? Not only the anticipated and expected sort of expenses that will come for those who retire, but for other things that may come as a part of being prudent and responsive, proactive as it were. But what about the projects that it wants to do, from road development to construction of educational facilities to the expansion of healthcare and the like? But what about other infrastructure projects? How will the government fund it? Or will the increased costs of these projects make it difficult for the government to continue providing other services? Are those projects that can be postponed? And if postponed, then the future costs make it even more exorbitant? are the projects so crucial that they need to be done, much sooner than anticipated? And is that urgency now because they were delayed or avoided previously? Take, for instance, the idea that some are discovering that road corridors were discussed, decades ago. The wonderful work that many would champion Mr. Linford for spearheading the Master Ground Transportation Plan, perhaps, today could still be useful if we were to utilize it more effectively. Or as some have shared, well, we've allowed developments and around some of those corridors that would hinder or significantly make it, more costly to even attempt to build some of those roads. Perhaps the road corridors, in many ways, have fallen away, as some have alleged. But what about future roads? And is it just roads to open up lands, as some have alleged, for development? Or do they, in fact, allow people to safely and efficiently and very effectively get from point to point? Are there alternatives to road construction? And even when roads are built and they're widened to have more lanes, is that soon, sort of benefit put aside simply because we have more cars at more times on the roads? Now, is that something that we should address? Is it something we can address? And if so, how? Is it through population reduction? Is it through limitations on car ownership? Is it restrictions on when cars can be on the roads? Well, maybe all of those things, maybe none of those things. Much to consider. I'm grateful to the team earlier for sharing some of their perspectives. All right, we have a fantastic group from the Health Services Authority. We'll pause, we'll take our break. When we return, we'll have a chance to engage with them, to speak, to learn. And as we listen, hopefully we'll move away with a greater appreciation. Again, the phone lines are there if you want to share. So as we pause and take a break, we invite you to be a part of a discussion. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new Boneless Hot Sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Hey, is your phone slow, overheating, and dropping important calls? Don't fret. This summer, it's time to flip out with Digicel. Introducing the all-new Samsung Flip 4 with its sleek design and cutting-edge features. You'll flip into the summer in style and confidence. This summer, you can grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4, all just for $145. Flip into the summer with Digicel. Visit a Digicel store near you and grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4 and the amazing 7-day Prime Ultra plan today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline. Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Looking to grow your business? We got this. Yellow Media Group has a proven track record for successfully marketing over 10,000 businesses on the web, expanding our customers' reach and providing measurable results. With the Caribbean's largest team of certified digital consultants, we handle everything from website development to search engine marketing and much more. So don't worry, we got this. For a free consultation, contact Lee Hipkins at 936-1981.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And we have two of the wonderful team members from the Health Services Authority, Mr. Mona, Ms. Sheehan, Ms. Renee, joining us in a bit. And we're going to talk about World Breastfeeding Week. And, it's important, very crucial that we provide the opportunity to be able to, as I say, champion both education and health. And when we can have an opportunity to be educated about the benefits of our health and well-being, to maybe through this platform allow people a greater understanding and appreciation, perhaps even sometimes to consider careers in that sector. So much the better. Well, we'll have that discussion momentarily. Telling you, it's a Tuesday according to the calendar, but maybe the work of your hands, the sort of, meddling of your minds, as it were. At times you may feel that it's not just Tuesday, it's probably already a Friday afternoon and the end of the year, even though you've still got several months to go before we ring in the new one. With that in mind, how purposeful are we? How much thought are we giving to our actions? And how much, productivity are we exacting from our labors? And as we measure what we're doing, is it a question that we're saying, well, you know what, I just made this amount more money? Is that the only way that we are concerned about how we're progressing? Or is it about the contributions we're making to others? I heard once a long time ago, and maybe it's not accurate, maybe I've taken it on board too much, but I say the greatest exercise of power is restraint. If you're in that driving position, if you have the authority through your power or your uniform or that particular position that you occupy, you can dictate certain things. Are you considerate? Are you genuinely considerate of your decision? As an attempt, as an example, and there's an individual before the courts, and the courts, looking at the circumstances, may decide that a custodial sentence is warranted. Perhaps the courts may say, well, we could provide something else to see how this would assist this individual. But it's balancing the need to protect society from these types of actions, as well as an opportunity to afford the offender a chance to not just make amends, rehabilitate, perhaps find a way, to make some level of, compensation, but to give the person a chance to learn from the error of the ways and to move forward in a better way. Well, let's see if we can take a call or two while our guests get ready to join us. And the beauty of radio is that it is immediate, it's direct, it's impactful. So we can take some calls until our guests are ready. If you want, 949-8037, 949-6990. Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Sterling. How are you?
I am excellent. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks.
All right. So glad to hear from you. Thanks for reaching out to us.
Yes, I understand I have guests coming in shortly.
We have guests who are just getting settled, but until they do, what they say is a live radio show, so the show must go on, and we are trying to do that. So thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, I just want to say, my girlfriend, she called me. She was so upset. 2 nights ago, she went down to the emergency section of the hospital from 7 o'clock until 12:30 a.m. in the morning. I tried to wait up for her, but when I wake up, I saw she sent me a message saying 12:30. I am just seeing the doctor. Can you imagine from 7 to 12:30 at the emergency section at the Georgetown Hospital? Sterling, that is ridiculous. And when she found us for a doctor, they told her that she had an ear infection. And they gave her this medication for some sinus medicine, and yesterday after she brought him something the next day. And then she went to Dr. Glatt, so his name is there, and he told her she had strep throat. Can you imagine?
Yeah, did she get an explanation as to why there was a delay? I mean, sometimes emergencies, being in the emergency room.
Yeah. That the place was full to capacity. They had it for their age, and really young children was in there. And then they had 2 new doctors coming on at 10 o'clock. So when she called me, I said, well, you mean you have to wait until the 2 new doctors was coming on 10 o'clock? She said, well, she hope not. But Sterling, I complained about already of these kids going to emergency and sitting there for so many hours before they can see a doctor. That should be divided. When young children come in there, young teenagers, they should be looked at immediately, and then someone looking at the adults, the older people. Get these children out of that emergency room. Why do they have to sit there for so long? I'm not stating that they sat there from that little time that she was there. But when she went there, the place was full, had adults, children, and so forth in there. And when I woke up and saw the message at 1 o'clock, she said 12:30, and she had just was going to the doctor then. Can you imagine? You don't have no water there. I think they probably have water. You don't have no snacks there. You ain't got no food there. You ain't got nothing there to be sitting there in them hours a night in an emergency section. I think they changed the name to something else. I don't even know what the name is.
Yeah, we do have the acute care, I believe, where the specialist used to be. And that, I don't know offhand the hours of that just yet. But I know it has been extended, and the practice itself has been expanded as well.
At the hospital, what do you call it?
Yeah, there's an acute care, which is just below an emergency GP. No?
By the staircase?
By the staircase, yeah.
It's open till about 8, 9 o'clock at night.
I think
open all night.
It's now until 11, and there is on a Friday night as well as on Saturdays too, I think, till late afternoon. And it's an attempt to try to pick up, ease the demand on the ER, the A&E. And this is where maybe the growing population puts increasing pressures,
They sure do. If we're going to get a population like what we got now and wanting more, how are we going to take care of the people on this island?
Yes.
It's very painful, and even the one down there on Eastern Avenue, she even tried that one. That was closed. That must have closed like, I don't know, it was 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, like now, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
People are just having these medical places to be convenient.
Yeah.
And then they come, you got to get necessities hours, and I think every district that has a little medical center, they should open at night.
Yeah, there is certainly merit to what you're sharing. That the government could look, increasingly through the HSA as to what the demands and needs are within its respective communities, and maybe look at seeing how it is. But on one hand, though, we're dealing with people, so even the medical team, and then the cost of having to fund to provide for that team. These are the increasing demands.
I know you probably have to go with Sterling, but the fact of the matter is, if you say you're going to increase the population and the government is increasing the population, making all these work permits and everything else come here and work, and they need to see doctors and nurses and so forth. The doctors and nurses are overworked in these government places. Because my doctor I went and saw a couple of weeks ago, she told me that she had to go over to the main hospital before she could come to her appointment down on Smith Road. So they're burning these people out. If we can have these amount of people on the island, we need to have the doctors and nurses at the hospital I know you got something going on, Sean, so I'll let you go.
Thank you.
She asked me to please express that on the radio because she was so highly upset.
Yeah.
To find out to diagnose her wrong that morning, 12:30.
Yeah.
And that someone else to get the diagnosis in a correct form.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that they have people like you who are willing to share. Maybe through what you said, maybe we can find some way to address it in a positive way. Thank you very much, okay?
Exactly. All right, thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. And thanks to that caller, too. And it's a good segue, perhaps, into our scheduled discussion, our friends from the Health Services Authority on World Breastfeeding Week. Well, I've had the discussion for maybe 15 years now, who knows. Ms. Simone, always a pleasure to welcome you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sterling. Thank you for having us.
You know, it seems like this annual discussion comes even faster every year.
Doesn't it? It's Christmas soon.
You know what? We should have a sample of what a Christmas fair would be like. Maybe that should be tomorrow. We should start. I don't know. But as I'd asked you prior, perhaps a quick intro to our listeners for their benefit.
Mm-hmm.
First, to you, Ms. Simone, and Ms. Renee. Just, a good afternoon, a welcome, and, age, rank, and position.
Maybe not the first one.
No, not at all.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having us here. My name is Simone. I'm one of the dietitians at the HSA, and I'm joined today by Nurse Renee. I'll let her give you her bio herself, but she's a lactation consultant and a nurse on the NICU, and so we're very happy to have her here.
Thanks for having us. As Simone rightly said, I am a registered nurse with the NICU and jointly with the maternity unit at HSA.
And it's good that I think someone over the time, whether we're able to talk about nutrition and speak to dietitians like you, when we start to appreciate that the mother, from the expectant mother, from the mother who is thinking about becoming an expectant mother, she goes through the process into the birth, the example she set, but also the feeding, the nutrition, the importance of that interaction with the child, that we have this discussion. So we don't take for granted things that we think everybody knows, and we're realizing that maybe we didn't quite know it, or know it to the extent that we were misled. At some point we want to ask about, are there still sort of misgivings? Are there also, perhaps not even misconceptions and perceptions, but all sorts of things that may lead us to speak and do or not do? So through you, Ms. Simone, I would certainly ask you to share with us.
Thank you. I think it's pretty much worldwidely accepted that breastfeeding is absolutely 100% the best way to feed your baby, to give your baby the best start in life.
Mm-hmm.
We know that breastfeeding is a vital source of good nutrition and health for an infant, and that translates all the ways up into your adult life.
Mm-hmm.
And this year's theme is making breastfeeding work. So breastfeeding at work can be challenging. As we know, in the Cayman Islands, the maternity leave isn't as long as it is in some other jurisdictions, 6 weeks with pay. So this can be extremely challenging for mothers when they go back to work. And so this year's theme is, supporting the mother in the workplace, how to ensure continued success for breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Maternity leave, extended maternity leave being a huge part of that. But I'm not sure how far down the line that is at this time.
That maternity leave, as you said, in the Cayman is 6 weeks with pay. Do you know of what is it is in England?
Not specifically the UK. Do you know, Renee? But I know it's a minimum of 18 weeks is recommended.
Yeah, no, but in the UK, I was wondering.
I think it's a good amount. I know Canada has some extremely good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about UK, but the Canadian province just does have a year, and that's with pay, before moms have to return to work.
Yeah, because we know that the UK had some of the worst labour laws way back when, but they've then made some amendments. The continent of Europe was much more liberal in it, and the Canada scene. So, us being a British possession, we probably followed their lead in having little. I guess that's when Mr. Bush sort of championed labour legislation, was recognising that. But even with that being what it is, we can still perhaps in our working environment, as colleagues, as employers, be more supportive of our nursing mothers, not just a closet or a bathroom to pump, but to not have to feel shielded nor ashamed.
And that is the biggest challenge, I think, for mums, that they report when they go back to work is that they find it very difficult to be able to successfully pump or have flexibility in their working hours that allow them to either have the baby brought to the office or they are able to go home to feed the baby. Employers are not always as open or flexible. So that is a huge barrier for mums going back to work. Wouldn't you say, Renee?
Yes. Some of the
Just
things
a little
that-
closer, Miss Renee. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Mom.
Some of the things that the moms would require going back to work after having a baby is that they would need a dedicated space to pump, flexibility to bring baby into work so that they can breastfeed at some point. It would also be excellent, as well as if baby is placed in a nursery, the ability to pop out every now and again to whether pump when baby's there, breastfeed directly at the nursing where the baby is, are some of the things that we're looking at, as well as colleagues, employers, allowing mom the ability to get some time away from work to just go ahead and pump if she has to remain at the workplace.
We do understand in some jurisdictions that expectant mother, but also the working mother may feel not just the pressure of it, but some concerns as to job security. Do we know in the Cayman context to what extent, if any, that may be, that could hinder the mother's decision to breastfeed or even to consider childhood?
I mean, I can't comment on any current conversations or anything that might be occurring that I'm not aware of, but I know, one thing I always encourage pregnant mums to do is have the conversation with their employer before they even go off on maternity leave, so that when they come back, the employer isn't taken by surprise, isn't shocked to find that, oh no, now you want to work 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon and 2 hours in the evening versus 6 consecutive hours, for example. Not every job can allow as much flexibility either. Taking, for example, if you work at the HSA, for example, a hospital, if you're in the middle of something, you can't say, oh, sorry, I've got to go now. It's not every job is flexible that can allow that. But if a mother feels that there is the opportunity to continue and there is some support and understanding and listening to what she may need, I think that is a big starting point.
Okay.
And I do think things have improved in terms of paternity leave. There are some private organisations within the HSA, for example, I know that offer paid paternity leave, which is also something that can help the breastfeeding mum, because the pressures of other chores, other children, for example, if they have, can be alleviated with that. So you have community support, but specifically this year is trying to focus on employers and workplace and the challenges that presents.
All right, well, after the break, let's share with us some more so we can be not just more sensitized, but sensible in how we can assist each other. All right, we're going to pause, and when we come back, we invite you to be a part of our discussion.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Yo, big up Massive. Summer is here and Digicel got the vibes flowing straight to Jamaica. That's right, me people. Digicel has a sizzling offer for you. Top up for your loved ones in a Jamaica and you get a chance to win the ultimate trip to the land of sun, sea and good vibes. To enter for the free trip to Jamaica, just send top up to your loved ones back home with Digicel and you automatically qualify. Remember, the more top up you send, the higher the chance you win. So make sure you don't miss out on the fun. Me people, get the summer vibes flowing with a top up for your loved ones with Digicel and get ready for a trip of a lifetime.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Prodigal son. Grand Cayman, the original Gospel Fest is back. Michelle T and friends in association with JN Money Transfer present Jamaica's 61st Independence Gospel Fest. Saturday, August 5th at the Lion Center. Featuring Prodigal Son, Michelle T, Da Flame, Claudel Clark, Ryan Davis, Laverne Welcome, and Rashada Henry. $30 prepaid, $35 at the gate. Ticket outlet, JN Money Transfer, Funky Tanks, Macros Groceries, all locations. Gate open at 5 p.m. Showtime 6 p.m. Come, let's have a time of thanksgiving and praise.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks to this partnership with the Health Services Authority, and as we focus on World Breastfeeding Week, Ms. Simone and Ms. Renee, thank you for joining us. I know in the past we've always had themes. I believe one was best is breast, or breast is best, something like that. And this year, you showed us the theme earlier, but tell us again, because work and work, huh?
Yeah, so make breastfeeding work. So making it work at work. Yeah. That's really, and this is not even really a new theme. And many years ago, we had these stickers produced 15 years ago maybe. At that time, we were still trying to promote breastfeeding in the workplace, and there have been some new buildings, some new construction, and they have dedicated breastfeeding rooms within that setting for their staff. So there have been some progresses and some advancements there for sure.
I really appreciate, and before we actually maybe to jump on some of the things we said earlier, just with the theme itself, is breastfeeding work? I mean, is it, because for many of us, even with respect, even women who've never done it, they may say, well, that's too much work, that's too much trouble. And for some mothers who shared, man, that's the easiest thing in the world. You know, a friend used to say she would be driving and she'd just pass the breast back there and the chair. No, she would laugh. But for some it's work, and for some so is it a perception that it's really, really laborious and it's just time consuming and all these challenging things?
You know, that's an interesting perspective, but I feel because we're now in such a fast-paced world, it does somewhat can come across as work because you're juggling so many things at this point. Mom's dividing her time. And unfortunately, sometimes I feel like breastfeeding does get, pushed back, and they're like, I'd rather probably just pump or give babies a bottle or something else,
And I appreciate you that, because maybe that's where we as the partners, as family, as co-workers, can be a little bit more understanding. But is there also a need for communication so that the working mother who is an attorney, for instance, maybe clients, maybe sharing. Many of us are not willing to share some personal private things because we think, well, it's nobody's business. But to what extent do we share? And even further, the mom is out with a young child having a meal. Is she comfortable breastfeeding that space? Is the nanny patrons sufficient, that they're respectful? How's the facility been able to accommodate while she's enjoying her meal? The child can be enjoying her meal as well.
I mean, just even to get back to the point Renee was making a moment ago as well, while yes, it may feel at times, because breastfeeding on demand is when the baby needs it, you basically have to be available to feed the baby. So in that regard, it is time consuming and demanding. But then the trade-off is, look at all the great stuff you get back in return. The smiling baby, the close bonding, knowing that you're giving the baby everything that it needs. Society as a general concept, I think most people acknowledge that breastfeeding is a good thing and support it. Restaurants, different places, they won't ask you to leave or anything like that. They may, if you identify when you go into a restaurant, look, I might have to breastfeed my baby this evening during dinner, they may give you a more discreet table in the corner, and you can have the seat that is not facing the rest of the restaurant, for example. So, because also the mum needs to feel comfortable for the milk to be coming freely as well. If she's feeling anxious or embarrassed or feels people are looking at her, then that can inhibit the milk supply, in that immediate time for feeding the baby.
So this is where communication comes in. In that example, she comes in, she explains, as she's being seated, and they may accommodate her. They may say, oh, actually, we have, a private office back here or a space there's. But if you don't communicate, okay, makes sense. Again, willing to share. There's a lot of emotion, though, in much of this. I don't know. I'm just thinking, how does that play into it?
Before we went on break, the point where we're talking about, just laying things out with your employer before you, whether you go off on maternity leave or, so you list the expectation or discuss what you are requiring when you get back from maternity leave. And that's just going to alleviate the stress upon coming back to work. Do I have a dedicated space to breastfeed or to pump? Am I allowed some time off to pop down to the nursery so I could either breastfeed or pump? Or while I'm at work, can I get a 10-minute, 15-minute break so I can go and express my milk? Now, if mom has all of that information, I do believe it's going to have a significant impact on her emotional state and then trickle down to her ability to produce milk. I've had a few clients that are juggling going back to work, juggling work life, and it does have an impact on how much milk. And they're like, how can I up my milk supply? I noticed ever since I got back to work, my milk supply started to tank. What are your recommendations? So it's always best to have that discussion with your employer and your colleagues beforehand so you know what you're getting yourself into.
We have our news break, and maybe some of the things as you share information, we understand the benefit to the child immediately and to the mother. Could we talk to two things? One, the long-term benefits to both, and then secondly, to what extent, if any, the mother's intake, her food, her environmental surroundings, her activities, whatever she does, to what extent does that impact not just her milk supply, but the quality of the milk, and then obviously how that passes to the child. If the mother eats a lot of chocolate, does the child get chocolate milk? Just the thing, those sorts of things, and then the nutritional value and what have you. All right. I want to learn. I mean, who knows, you know? Well, I shouldn't say that. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Water Authority Cayman informs customers that the public water service will be temporarily interrupted on Rex Crichton Boulevard from the intersections of Poindexter Road to Chime Street on Thursday, August 3rd between 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. In international news, police in Tennessee have shot an armed man who they say tried and failed to enter a Jewish school in Memphis before firing his weapon outside it. No one at the Margolin Hebrew Academy Finestone Yeshiva of the South was injured in Monday's incident, which began after noon. The suspect was later stopped by police and shot as he exited his vehicle. He is in hospital in critical condition. A lawmaker representing the area said the gunman was a former student. NASA has picked up a heartbeat signal from its Voyager 2 probe after it lost contact with it billions of miles away from Earth, the space agency said. Last month, the spacecraft exploring the universe since 1977 tilted its antenna to 0.2 degrees away from Earth after a wrong command was sent. As a result, the probe stopped receiving commands or sending data. But on Tuesday, NASA said a signal from Voyager 2 was picked up during a regular scan of the sky. Voyager 2 is more than 12.3 billion miles from Earth, where it is hurtling at an estimated 34,390 miles per hour through interstellar space. Since July 21st, the probe has been unable to receive commands or send back data to NASA's Deep Space Network. However, there is hope for the probe with contact, albeit limited, now re-established. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Honey, did you get your Benzorama ticket yet?
Benzorama what?
The Lions Club Benzorama fundraiser. You could win a brand new Mercedes-Benz.
What? I have always wanted a Mercedes. What kind of Benz?
A brand new sparkling 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Tickets are $25 for one, $3 for $65, or $5 for $100. And you're helping to support the many Lions Club of Grand Cayman causes.
Driving in my new Benz and feeling good about helping the community.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama Fundraiser. Your chance to win a 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available from Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. And as we talk about, World Breastfeeding Week, we are a part of this world. Ms. Simone Sheehan and Nurse Renee Brown from the Health Services Authority. I'm thinking back to maybe some of our mothers and grandmothers, and some of us could probably even go back decades as they recall stories. For them, that was the option they had, and it was the only option. So I was asking initially as we went into the break, to what extent the mom's health and well-being, the foods that she consumed, her environment, her activities. I tried to make the joke and say, well, if she gave her child, indirectly a lot of chocolate because she consumed chocolate, was it chocolate milk? But, maybe it does affect the taste. I don't know. Ms. Renee, help us.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the nutrition part to Simone, but there are a few foods that baby could definitely taste what mom is eating in the breast milk. And there are a few foods, specifically like garlic, that will, baby could sense the difference in taste. And sometimes I'll say to moms, if you do notice your baby is responding a little bit different, it could have been something you have eaten, that could impact the taste. But generally speaking, there's not really anything you need to avoid when it comes to breastfeeding. And nutrition, I'll hand over to Simone.
Well, I mean, I think one thing to remember when you're a breastfeeding mum is you've got so many things going on with a new baby, and you're dealing with diapers and schedules and just having a baby, and then maybe factoring in time to go for their shots, their immune shots, all the various things. And time to look after yourself can be challenging as well. So when you are a breastfeeding mum, you kind of have to continue eating the same way you did in your last trimester of your pregnancy. So you still need to be well hydrated, eat balanced meals as best you can, ensuring you have adequate intake of protein and calcium, those extra few calories that you need in your last trimester. You still need those when you're breastfeeding, because you're making a lot of milk. And all of that milk composition it can be affected by what you're eating. So ensuring you have adequate meals and snacks and hydration is very important. And that can affect, the milk, not just composition, but the supply, the volume, and then breastfeeding is a supply-demand relationship. The greater the demand, the greater the supply. The lower the demand, the lower the supply. And this is why exclusive breastfeeding, which we always talk about constantly, is so very, very important. Right,
so
Renee?
what does that mean, exclusive breastfeeding? I mean, it sounds obvious, but just help us make sure we don't misunderstand.
Yeah, exclusive breastfeeding means baby gets only breast milk, no introduction to water, no other products, whether formula or, glucose water, nothing else. The only thing your baby will intake for 6 months is breast milk.
So that exclusivity should be 6 months, not 8, should at least be 6 months. Can it be 12 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months.
Thereafter, because at 6 months, you're starting to introduce your baby to food from the pot or food from the table. So whatever mom or whatever the family is eating, then you'll start introducing your baby to that. And this is because the body is also developing and needs additional nutrients from that point. So from there on, you are going to require additional nutrients for your baby to stay healthy.
Yeah, complementary feeding at about 6 months, because when the babies are born, they have stores of iron and stores of some of these nutrients that those levels start to become a bit depleted by the time the baby is 6 months old as well. But there is a practice, it's not the right practice, but there is a practice to introduce solids early. And that can be a challenging, and even to top up with formula, because that can interrupt the whole exclusivity of the breast milk. And to get those really, I mean, any form of breastfeeding is going to be welcome and it's going to add value to the baby's health. But when it's exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, that's really your gold standard, and that's really what your goal is, which is why, getting back to the theme, making breastfeeding work at work is so very, very important, because that is the biggest challenge, the biggest reason why mums stop at 6 weeks and not at 6 months, which is what we're hoping for.
And to that point, I know you were coming with something, but I just want to point out that mom can breastfeed for as long as she wants. You don't have to stop at 6 months if you want to go for a year, 2 years. That's your choice, really. But what we're saying is there's an exclusivity for 6 months.
Right. No water or anything else.
Nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah.
If the mom decides to go longer than 6 months, a year, I'm thinking of the economic concept, diminishing marginal returns. Is there a time after which that the mom, there's no benefit to breastfeeding? Is that at year 3, at year 30? I mean, I'm just being funny. She does it for a year, 18 months, 2 years. At what point is perhaps the benefit,
Breast milk will always be beneficial, will always be valuable for your baby. It's funny because in Eastern cultures, they do breastfeed for way longer than we do in the Western world. And that's their norm. Our norm is we stop some 6 months earlier or a year. But I think there's also this connotation that the breast milk is no longer valuable if you're breastfeeding for a year, and then we'll jeer the mom and say, why are you still breastfeeding at the year? But remember, breastfeeding is not just about nutrition. Breastfeeding has to do with this closeness, this bond, a relationship between mom and her baby. So if she feels comfortable, by all means.
And also mom's immunity. babies born with a certain amount of immunity, of course, but mum's breast milk contains a ton of valuable, vital immunological components that gives the baby a safety net, if you like, for certain high-risk infections, or just general keeps their immunity system a bit stronger. So there is that as well, not just nutrition, as you say, Renee.
So with that in mind, then, the nutritional value of the breast milk, is that directly related to the nutritional value of what the mum is eating or her intake?
It does play a role in it, for sure. If mum is underhydrated, tired, not managing to eat balanced meals, just grabbing a cracker, grabbing a piece of bread, so it's not becoming a balanced meal, or can't even get to finish a plate of food because someone's needing something, and so she takes 3 or 4 bites and then she's off doing whatever else is required. So it's important, and this is where Renee was right in saying about the whole village that is around the mum, whether that's grandparents, neighbours, friends, partners, other siblings can be extremely helpful too. Telephone rings, anything that they need, even if they're little, they're able to help with little small things. So it's engaging, and as you said before, communication with everyone. Look, guys, I need help with these following things. Someone needs to help me bring all the dirty clothes down from upstairs. Someone needs to wash those pots. Someone needs to put away the shopping in the fridge. These are not very difficult tasks, even for children. So engaging support from everybody, because it is important to be successful in this. And your employer, I know I keep coming back to the work thing, but your employer plays a big part in that as well. There's always baby showers, and it's all very exciting before baby's born, and everyone's super excited. And then baby's born, and everyone jumps for the hills, and it's like no one's answering their phone, and because it's a massive amount of extra work for mum, not just the breastfeeding, but just the whole baby scene. So, help and support, even if it seems like something small, like a phone call. How's it going? And is everything going well? And so in Cayman, we're very fortunate. We have a very excellent breastfeeding support group organisation, and they are always available at the end of a phone call for any kind of struggles, support, and they are amazing. And there's someone in every district that can help a struggling mum. So don't feel if you're way out in the north or east side of the island, well, everything just only happens in Georgetown. Every district has someone that can visit you at home if needed, can talk you on the phone, and just kind of really give you that support, because sometimes someone else in your immediate family may not have the expertise in terms of if you have a struggle. They may not have had breastfeeding experience. And while breastfeeding, it comes fairly easily to most mums and babies.
There's some mums that do need extra support. And on that point, the breastfeeding support group, I just want to point out that they're available for telephone calls. You can pick up the phone, call them. Some are available for home visits. And if mom's going back to work and she feels like, or just got home with the baby, she feels like she needs a breast pump, she could always get a breast pump for rental from the breastfeeding support group. So there are a few options there available for moms.
That support, that nurturing certainly goes. I don't want to gloss over, what should be the obvious benefits, cost, convenience, and the like. But certainly after the break, I'll come back for a final segment to remind us, as I think someone you referenced earlier, that the benefit isn't just immediate and short term. It can extend to the life of that child into adulthood, the benefits of breastfeeding. So, those two things we could maybe expound on further.
Absolutely.
All right, to our listeners, please rejoin us after the break.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
All aboard the Pizza Boat! Cayman's newest pizzeria. Birthday parties, office luncheons, summer camps, game night. Whatever your occasion, bring the fun with Pizza Boat. And Cayman twist to pizza, bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. What's more, now you can enjoy a boat-shaped pizza with toppings of your choice. It's Pizza Boat. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky. Pizza Boat. Experience the ultimate pizza voyage.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And a few minutes left in our discussion today, World Breastfeeding Week. We're grateful for this Tuesday partnership with our Health Services Authority. That's Renee, Ms. Simone. Thank you very much for sharing with us. Is there a caller, Ms. Susan? Well, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for sharing with us.
Good afternoon, man.
Hey, my friend. How are you today?
Okay. And you?
Thank you for asking, man. I am excellent. Thank God for not just excellent health, not just mercy's grace, provision, and protection, but by a presence of mind to appreciate what's before me. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, man. You're always a strong fellow, man.
Thank you for sharing, man. I appreciate that very much.
And guys used to say, boy, why he's so strong, he ought to make him pull up the ankle all the time.
That might have helped, yeah. I'm sure I breastfeed too. Yeah, man. But thank you.
Good afternoon to you guests who doing.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
You all speaking about children.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Babies.
And breastfeeding, yes.
Okay. Companies that are able to do so should have daycare centers for women who just had children and are going back to work, and they're able to breastfeed their children whenever possible and as much as possible. And also, if they do, I would recommend they build something that is pretty much outdoors but shady. Because I personally don't believe that AC and Freon is too healthy for a child. Because as we know, Freon draws a lot of water out of your body, and especially your brain. So if you are taking care of children, parents need to let them have as much water as possible if they're in the air condition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think think the government should look at a law that women are able to retire at 55 so that they're able to spend more time with their grandchildren, and the government put in a certain percentage in order for them to have a good package in retiring, and keep it at 65 for the men. But yes, breastfeeding is very important for children. They say it makes a child more intelligent, breast milk, and I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you for sharing, man. And maybe he's right. Maybe putting up the anchor and the breastfeeding is why maybe he's so strong. But I appreciate my friend. In his view, we all seem to go to physicians and express concerns from the physicians of vitamin D deficiency. Maybe the fresh air and the sunlight, as he said, a safe way is important.
Mm-hmm.
But being respectful of the 9 or so minutes of our program, a lot more to share. Maybe first with you, Miss Renee, the idea of the benefits now and future, and Miss Simone, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So, and as the caller also alluded to, there are lots of benefits that baby can derive from being, from having breast milk. Let's just start from the early days when baby is in the unit with its mom or in the hospital with its mom. Baby is getting that little bit of colostrum there. Has a lot of immunity properties that will help ward off infection. But not only that, like that very first poop that we want the baby to pass, that meconium, that is excellent. It's like a little laxative that's going to help that baby to pass poop. So moms could hand express that little milk into a cup, into a spoon, into syringes, and just feed that to the baby, and it helps the bowels to start moving. And then further down, we're looking at how it prevents ear infections in baby and stuff like gastroenteritis that we start looking at when baby starts going to schools, the school age kids, and then benefits for mom is that it helps the uterus to get back into place, and also helps to ward off just the whole act of breastfeeding itself. Certain types of cancers, breast cancer, lowers the risk for breast cancer in the mother, so tons of benefit. If the baby happens to get sick while baby is being breastfed, then the body automatically modifies the constitution of the milk itself to help that baby get better. So your breast milk has everything that the baby needs. As the baby progresses from different stages, the body modifies the nutrients in the milk to meet the demand of baby. So it's very, very,
That's some artificial intelligence right there.
I said,
that's some good old AI.
Yeah, I was.
That's clever.
Thinking that's divine, man. I mean, it has to be. Yeah. We know what natural stupidity. So you can fix that, but anyway.
And I think I'll just let Simone talk about the brain impact on the brain itself, but then she'll talk about the long-term benefits.
Yeah, I mean, we know that, as your previous caller mentioned, he believes that breastfed babies are, I think he used the word smarter, and there is evidence to say that breast milk, because of the composition of the fatty acids and so on inside the breast milk, that it leads to better brain and eye development. And there's hard science behind that. Yeah. We know that breastfed babies, as adults, will have lower rates of chronic diseases, which would include the likes of hypertension, obesity, diabetes. So if you breastfeed, particularly exclusively for the first 6 months and beyond, preferably, then it's like a blueprint for a future healthy adult. Yes. That isn't to say that every breastfed baby is never going to get sick, or these are statistics. This is what's statistically more likely to happen. But we know that the benefits are many, many. It's really a question of, can you afford not to breastfeed your baby? We know, obviously, cost of formula, the environmental impact of dealing with all these bottles, the use of water and electricity to heat and cool down the water, disposing of all the cans and tins from the various formulas. All of that creates a huge environmental issue as well. So breastfeeding is much greener, if you know what I'm saying, in that context. Apart from a good diet and investing in some good nursing, mom pretty much has everything that she needs.
Absolutely. And I would say some breast milk is better than no breast milk at all.
I think we may have time for a quick call as we're focusing on, World Breastfeeding. Let's try this caller. Hey, welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Afternoon. How are you?
Afternoon to your guest too. I'm all right.
Afternoon.
I'm doing fine. I really agree 100% with the guy that was on the call just now. I think that there should be something really looked into, and then you really did point out exactly what I wanted to call in about with the breastfeeding with mothers that, like, let's just say for example they have work and you give them the maternity leave or something like this, what they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that is only like 3 months breastfeeding. With the 3 months, I still do not think that's a sufficient amount of time for a child to bond with the mother, and with the stress of work, and if that chemical of stress being released into the breast milk, does that milk be basically like oat milk?
No. Well, usually what we do see is it will impact the mom supply. And, mom's not in the frame of mind to produce enough milk for baby, which will have an adverse effect on the baby itself and then trickle down to mom because she's now worried she's not getting enough milk. But the stress, doesn't really interfere with the quality of milk that baby will get.
Yeah, so like for example, I'll use my daughter and reference, and during her stages of breastfeeding, she's still suckling but not breastfeeding. She's just like a soother type of thing. We weaned her out pretty early because I was feeling that maybe that was putting a little pressure on her mother, and I was just concerned maybe it might just have a lot to do with the work and the responsibilities that we have to do as parents, and not being able to have enough time to connect with the child for the first year. Just the first year. When I was growing up, I believed that I was breastfeeding for over a year, and my mom told me this herself. And I have big bones. I'm 6 foot tall and 150 pounds since I was 15. I don't see how working and breastfeeding works together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the responsibility of work, coming home stressed out or tired, exhausted, and then at the same time have to produce milk and have to like you say, it's a job. It's a like, I don't know. I'm not a woman. I can't feel it.
No, but I think...
can't feel it, but I'm concerned about it as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you too for that, Mr. Moon. All right. Thanks again. Excellent points, and you were sharing, Mr. Moon.
I think that's it in a nutshell. What this caller is talking about is, we talk on one hand about breastfeeding and how important it is, and all the people believe and know this to be the truth and the case, and then on the other hand, all our policies, all our employers, all our society, all our working expectations directly conflict with what we're trying to achieve. So,
and maybe this discussion, as a caller just very succinctly put it, how do we not just be accommodating, but make it a societal norm where we're not just the partner, not just the children, not just the colleagues, not just the the employer or the extended family. How do we do this? Many of us who are older than 50, maybe put it that way, probably grew up in a different environment where that was the norm, and maybe it was because the availability. All right, we have another caller, if that's good with you. And the caller says, I'll be quick. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon, quick. Sorry.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I personally have done quite a bit of research on this subject, and I'm absolutely convinced that there is no better option than breastfeeding. Zero. However, there are some people who have difficulties breastfeeding. I do not like the idea of feeding children with formula. For a woman that would have a difficulty, is there a way in which she could get safe breast milk if she doesn't want to go the route of formula?
There isn't a bank a breast milk bank in Cayman, but I did see a person privately advertise her breast milk to be donated to anyone in a Facebook group in Cayman. For anyone who wanted it, she was going to donate it. And I saw her separately, privately after that, and I said, did you have much interest? And she said a ton of people had reached out and she had donated her breast milk to another mum who, for whatever reason, I don't know what, wasn't able to do it. But there isn't a formal breast milk exchange program or anything like that available in Cayman, or a milk bank.
To the gentleman online, I mean, very knowledgeable, obviously coming from considerate perspective. Maybe sparked by his comment and question, is it then that mother A of child A, for whatever reason, she's not able to breastfeed? Can mother B, who's not related to child A, does that milk work? I mean,
absolutely.
You probably read my mind.
1,000%
I've had that first-hand
scenario.
experience,
Okay.
yes, where two sisters, one was in the hospital, was not able, they both had babies at the same time. One was not able to breastfeed because she had to be hospitalized, and the other one breastfed her baby, as long as it's something consensual.
right, but that's familial. I'm thinking two individuals, unknown, they're... The only thing they got in common is that they're both nursing mothers, or both mothers.
Absolutely.
So okay, before we disrespect the caller, anything else, sir, that you wanted to maybe ask or share so that we can...
I'd like to encourage that that idea be promoted more rather than there be a recommendation to use formula, because the difference in the quality of the life of the child is like day and night.
Okay. Hey, thank you for that. Thank you, because honestly, I, up until this point, was under the impression, on a personal level, that it may be good, but that mother's milk is specific and peculiar to that mother's child, and someone else's milk may be good, but not. So you're telling me no?
No, because it's human breast milk, which is species specific for humans. So as long as there's no contradictory reason why another mother who has ample milk supply cannot donate maybe medication or some other, perhaps maybe undergoing some treatment, it may depend, but generally speaking, without all those things taken out of the equation, breast milk banked from a mom who has ample supply for a baby, for whatever reason they can't obtain the breast milk, is absolutely a fantastic idea.
I learned something today. Thank you for sharing.
Well, it was the caller prompted that conversation.
Yes, no,
Thank you, caller.
I'll be honest with you, I supported it. I commend mothers who have wrestled with issues of the child latching on, is the term that the mothers struggle because of work and health and whatever, but persisted and persevered, and eventually the child took to it, right? We want to have this discussion more than just this week. I'm grateful, Mr. Mona, over the years we've had. Thanks.
Well, it is breastfeeding week.
Yes,
We're going all the way until next Monday. So
anyone has any questions, please ring us at the hospital, ring maternity ward, email us at the hospital. You'll find our emails on our websites. We're happy always, and all throughout the year too, not just this week. We really want to help mums who need help, as the breastfeeding support group does. All the staff on the maternity ward are all trained. We have experts like lactation consultants here, who really do know what they're talking about. So you don't have to worry. If you have a concern or a question, please do reach out.
And to the three gentlemen that call, I mean,
funnily enough, all three Melville callers, men today.
And I want to thank them for sharing, for weighing in, for being encouraging, and for sharing their support, and that's great. And to our mothers, they may have challenges and struggles, whether it's personal health, whether it's work or otherwise. So let's make breastfeeding at work.
Yes.
All right. Thank you both for your time. Thanks for sharing with us, and I'm hopeful that as a society, we'll not only take it up, we'll be supportive. We'll find ways to make it easier, make the people more comfortable, mom and child, and all of the supporting cast. So thank you both.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I can't believe it's Tuesday already. It's not done yet. For some of us, it's just getting started. But tomorrow is for the record, and Mr. Art is still on his should we call it hiatus? Should we call it sabbatical? Should we call it vacation? Well-deserved leave. And Simon Boxall fills in for him. There's another fellow who's going to fill in for on Friday, but you got to wait until then to find out who that is. All right. Join us tomorrow for the Record. Come on, more for Talk to David after the midday news, and have a wonderful, safe, and enjoyable afternoon. Thanks to our mums for being so diligent and loving and nurturing and kind. And we encourage you to take good care of yourselves as you take good care of your babes. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Is where tradition never dies. This